So Malaga have won out in Mallorca, and a footballing lesson Baleares we taught you. But fair to say, it wasn't all easy, and at 1-0 down, I felt kind of queasy. But now I'll give you a quick match reminder, because either side of halftime, the football gods were kinder. So back to the start, where we conceded early, but soon things were pearly, with Roberto in the box causing a burly. 1-1, a welcome equaliser, and then it was time to try to pulverise you. We were asking, where's our striker? He's gone missing like a confused hitchhiker. But soon we decided, number 16, we like you, because we got a good finish from Dioni, laying a smack down on his old club like Jabroni. But on the live stream, we just said you were pony, but now you were scoring like prime Wilfred Boney. Pero, ¿qué tal, Matt? ¿Qué te sientes con el partido contra Granada Recreativo? Muy bien, y me siento positivo, because now we move on to play another B team, Granada players who ain't the club's cream of cream, but now we'll go for 9 points from 9 points like a dream team. But let's start the pod, a pod with more spice than a piri-piri. Listen, enjoy with the cast of the Giri. Good day, everybody. I'm Matt Harrison, and that intro, you are indeed listening to the latest episode of the Giri Cast on Sport Direct Radio. I'm joined by Nick Bell. Nick, how are you?
I'm very well. I feel very enlightened by that beautiful rap again. And I even love the bilingual nature of it. So very impressed once again, Matt.
Thank you. But you're good.
Very good. Yeah. A bit tired, but, coming off the back of losing to the old enemy last night. But to be fair, I kind of had to just sit back in awe of Jude Bellingham and just let him do what he does. He taught us a lesson last night.
Indeed. I didn't watch it. I watched my adopted nation of Spain, which was a much easier viewing, I will say. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. I'm a bit surprised by Nick thinking Scotland was going to win.
Wow.
But that's a different story. But wow, Matt, you just did a rap in Spanish as well. It was a mix. You are like the new Don Omar or the new Daddy Yankee.
I don't.
Mr. 305.
I don't know who those people are, but I'll guess I'll take it. And finally, we are joined by Luke. It's the first time we have been on a proper pod together after the live stream, Luke. So how are you?
I'm very well, Matt. Thanks. Any rap that includes Wilfred Boney in it is going to cheer my day up.
Yeah, well, as a Swansea City fan, me too. But just to be clear, I do think Wilfred Boney is slightly better than Dioni, at least so far. Okay, the news. I think just before we press record, I said the news has been sort of a little bit scattergun this week. I sort of put a couple of things down, and in the last 24 hours, there's been lots of little things shooting out. So it's in a little bit of a jumbled order. So we'll start with our mayor, or Malaga's mayor, De La Torre, talking about an increase in capital at Malaga Club de Football. This has sort of been going on while I've been in work today, I think, and I've sort of read up on it a bit, but does anybody want to throw their hat in there and give me a little bit of an explanation about what's going on here?
You're waiting for me?
Yes, we're waiting for you.
Yes. Well, I was waiting for anyone, but I believe you're the one that knew a bit more, I was told.
I think so. If I've interpreted it right, and I'm not an expert in this kind of thing. I also don't speak Spanish, so it was quite the challenge. But my understanding is that there is this 0.9%. This 0.9% is actually what gives Al-Thani his overall majority ownership. However, what they're saying is that when they purchased this 0.9% off, I think it's just off the top of my head, NAS football or NOS football, something like that.
NAS, yeah.
It was actually bought by the club. So the club sort of bought the shares back themselves, and Al-Thani hadn't bought them himself. So therefore, there's a question about who actually owns those shares, which ultimately give Al-Thani control or majority ownership. And I think, therefore, now the terminology they talk about is saying, well, if we can increase this capital chat, it means that between that 0.9%, the Blue Bay, the minority shareholders, somebody could come in and buy a majority of Malaga.
But, yeah, and it's something to do as well. And obviously, Al-Thani is, keeps saying he will not sell. He's quite adamant about that. But maybe the Blue Bay side of thing is perhaps a little bit more
But let's be honest, Juve bought those shares for €1, and they want to sell it. They're not wanting a football club.
No.
I mean, let's be honest. They want to make money.
I think we can all agree that it's been a complete mess from start to, I would say, finish, but I don't think we're anywhere near the finish at the moment.
Absolutely
no,
not.
and I think it's the way it's been reacted as well from Altani and his fan group. This has rattled him a little bit as well. This kind of talk has rattled him. He's reacted to some things before, but I've not seen this kind of intensity with him. He's not, don't get me wrong, he's not shouting, effing and jeffing or anything like that, but he's responding quite quickly. He's calling out journalists who are sharing this story, kind of like trying to quash it a little bit. But
he did that in the past as well.
Yeah, he did call the mayor an idiot.
Yeah,
yeah,
he said a lot of things.
It's so childish.
He blames everyone but himself, and that's the problem. Because we had that thing on Twitter where I asked him questions and I talked with him. I don't know if I know Matt does. He was against it.
Yeah.
I don't know if Luke or Nick, if any of you heard it.
I remember you doing something like that before I came on board. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just said I'm not talking to him. I refuse to be part of it.
But the questions were pretty hard for my side. But the reply was all denial and pointing to others.
Hey, tell you what.
But that's like getting old cows out of the water.
It is. It is exactly like it's exactly like getting old cows out of the water. Does
any of you know what it means now? The getting cows out of
No, not one of us.
Old cows. It's a proverb for saying like bringing up old things.
Okay. Is it?
Yeah, things that happened in the past that don't matter anymore.
Oh no, there's a cow from the water. Like I guess like
bringing old cows from the water.
You know what it is then? In English, it'd be skeletons in the closet, wouldn't it? That's a long way away. Just moving on then, because this story's gone on for weeks now, and it is important to us because the guy was the president of our league. Speaking of someone that's been denying in interviews, Chris, Rubiales has resigned since our last episode. Of course, the best place to sort of discuss this is the forum of Piers Morgan Uncensored. I don't think we need to talk about the case that much because it's gone on.
Can someone explain me why it had to be in the show of Piers Morgan? He's good. Don't get me wrong. I really like him. He's really good in what he does. I think he's good.
I think it sums Rubiales up as a character, how he had to go to Piers Morgan to do something like this. It keeps his name.
What is the relationship between Piers Morgan and Spain?
I think there's two things there. I think I don't know. The thing I first thought was Piers Morgan, his, let's say, I didn't even know if you'd say his politics, his sort of attitudes are seem to be very in line with Rubiales and that sort of macho-ness. And I haven't watched it. I'm not going to watch Piers Morgan. He's a horrible man. But what I've read of it, the questions are very light, to say the least. And almost Rubiales is having the chance to be presented as a victim. That's what I thought it was about. And then I listened to the Spanish football podcast today, and I think they said that Alex on there just said it's probably just because he did an interview with Cristiano Ronaldo, and he probably thought, oh, that guy's a big deal.
I thought it was that as well. Plus, it's that thing, but it's also, they made a good point on the Spanish football podcast Q&A that this is beyond the realms of Spain now. This is an international issue. This is involving FIFA. This is involving players all over the world. So, whether we like it or not, unfortunately, Piers Morgan holds a wide audience globally, which is probably why he's gone to there. Where if he'd have gone to,
I have to admit, I only saw little bits of Piers Morgan appear in on my Instagram storyline, so I don't know what his opinions are or anything. But everything I do see from him, he's a very calm man. Some things he says,
But
Piers
it's
Morgan
also
likes
who
to.
he interviews, isn't it? Like he's interviewed Andrew Tate before, and don't get me wrong, some people think Andrew Tate's a very nice gentleman. Personally, I don't, but again, it's that kind of character that he goes for, and again,
well, the whole point of the TV show is called Uncensored. He wants to get people on that have these out there opinions, and he's the man that gives them a voice, so to speak. And
he's a controversial man who wants to interview controversial people. I mean, throughout all this, the Rubiales case, you've got to feel obviously for the Spanish team, but like the Spanish team won a World Cup. As many people spoke about the fact and that they've won the World Cup, or as Senor Rubiales' behaviour overtaken all this?
Yeah,
I would say from just my perspective, obviously I was doing the Camino when they won the World Cup, and I would say for the first 2 or 3 days, this story, I can only speak for in Spain, was a little bit below the surface. It was sort of like, Spain have won the World Cup, but that thing Rubiales did was a bit weird, wasn't it? And then I think as it built up internationally, that's when it was a bit like, that wasn't weird. That was really out of order. And especially the whole thing came out and spoke about it.
Because you were on the other side of Spain, at the day itself, it was all about Spain winning the World Cup.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with that. I'm absolutely agreeing with that.
Everybody found it strange, but the day after, it very quick was about Rubiales.
Yeah, I've been listening to a couple of Spanish football podcasts in Spanish in an attempt to improve my Spanish, and it was like a side note. It was like, did you see what Rubiales did? And it was like the side note. That was a bit weird. And then it was only sort of like you said, the day or two after it really exploded, perhaps with.
But then also, I think Spain has become a very modern country. In some ways, but in other ways, they are still a long way behind. And there is still a lot to learn for Spain. And this is one of the matters in which Spain has to grow a lot, and they are still far behind. And it's horrible that it happened, but maybe it's a way to try and change things. Not only in football, but in life as well.
Quite possibly. It is a modern country, but it could be a whole different podcast if we talked about what's happening politically in Spain at the moment. So we won't go down there. So I sort of agree.
Women's rights in Spain are respected less than the rest of Europe.
Yeah, possibly. Anyway,
or the way women are treated is different than in the rest of Europe.
Moving away from Luis Rubiales then, so like you said, I thought we'd just mention it because he was the president of our league. Now we're in the RFA, but he is now gone. I don't think they've got a replacement in place yet, so we'll see who that is in the coming weeks.
Is Fernando Sanz still in the running? I believe he's put his hand up to want to do it, hasn't he?
He has been. It might be quite good for us.
Openly saying in El Chiringuito that he still is a big Malaga supporter, and he was being the former president of a Primera RFF club. I don't think his chance is very high on getting that position.
No. Yeah. Okay, just going through a couple of other little bits and bobs then. I thought we'd mention this time last year, we were talking about La Guadaneta and how the wheels was perhaps starting to come off La Guadaneta. He's got a new club. I talked about Pablo Guede, of course. He's the new manager of Los Bichos, Argentinos Juniors. He did pretty well in South America. I think when we first got him as manager, I remember talking a lot about his time with Palestino, and I guess we wish him well because we didn't have any big with him, did we? It was unfortunate what happened to him, but
I think he's a great manager for Argentinian or for South American football. But I think the difference between South American football and Europe is too big, and that's what I think, because everywhere he went, he had great results.
Yeah, it just didn't seem to work for him at Malaga. I mean, when you look at the teams, what he's managed, San Lorenzo, Colo, Al-Ahly, Necaxa in Mexico, there's some huge names in their respective countries. Maybe it's time for him to go back home to Argentina and rebuild.
And also, I don't know if you noticed, he gets to manage Kevin again, but this time it's Kevin McAllister, brother of Alexis McAllister. So hopefully he has more luck with this Kevin than the Kevin he had at Malaga and he sent off to Portugal. So good luck, Pablo Guede, in your new venture. Just a couple of other little bits and bobs. Malaga Femenino won 1-0 in the Copa del Reina today against PM Friol. I don't know where that is, but well done to Malaga.
Like a bottle of wine.
Pardon?
It sounds like a bottle of wine.
Oh, right, okay. I'm guessing the P might stand for Peña, but I don't know.
Yeah,
or Polideportivo. But yeah, maybe we'll have Rocio on soon to give us a bit more of a summary of how things are going at Malaga Femenino at the moment. But good to see them start a cup run again after doing so well in recent seasons. Just one or two other things linked with perhaps the game coming
it's
up.
In Galicia, man.
Okay, well, there you go. I don't remember a place called Friol on my travels, but I'll check it out. A couple of other things for the upcoming game. I thought I'd just ask first, guys. We did a live stream on Sunday afternoon for the Atletico Baleares game. It's the first time I've done it. It was very good fun. I know you guys have done some before. Is there going to be one on Saturday evening?
I think so. If there are people here for it, I know that you two are going to be at the game. So
yeah, I'm definitely here, Nick.
Yeah, people are keen and still willing and don't mind listening to us talk crap for a few hours, then why not?
I'll be driving the Giri bus on Saturday.
Yeah, I was going to bring this up later, but I thought perhaps we'd mention it now then. How are you looking forward to when was the last time you were on the Giri bus, Chris? Or have you ever been on it before?
I've never been on the Giri bus.
Oh, okay.
That is a big wheel, Chris. That is a big, big wheel.
I know, it's a big bus.
It's a shame they got rid of the actual Giri bus. I think it's still, I'm sure I've seen it somewhere.
Did you see it in real life?
The new one?
Did you see it in real life? Their own bus?
Yeah, I've seen it somewhere. I've definitely seen it in the bus flash, but
it was insane. But they bought the bus when the bus was crap already.
Yeah, it does look like like an
old. I got in my head that it's like a converted London bus.
No,
it's for you guys back in the UK. Did you? I don't know. Maybe did you have Globe coaches? Or was it just a Welsh thing? It might be a Welsh thing. I just realised it looked like an old Globe coach. That's what I've got in my head anyway.
He was on the radio.
So, anyone that's listening now, I'm sure one of you guys will confirm on the Twitter it's happening. So keep an eye out for that. If you aren't at La Rosaleda and you don't want to listen to the Spanish commentary, who knows? Maybe I will make another analytical appearance at halftime to analyze the game in depth with such things as Kwande's doing well, isn't he? He's not playing. Actually, that was Carl. That wasn't me. Anyway, just to finish on perhaps a more serious note, also on Saturday, there is a collection at La Rosaleda. I think initially it was going to be for the devastating earthquake that's just hit the sort of west side of Morocco around Marrakesh, but obviously the damage is caused has spread across all parts of Morocco, particularly sort of rural mountain villages. I believe it's also going to be in aid of the devastating flooding that's just hit Libya, where it's impossible to report numbers on that. The numbers seem to go up 10,000 a day. So I think they're asking for things like powdered milk, hygiene products, medical supplies, sleeping bags, batteries for mobile phones, winter clothing, flashlights. There's a long list. If you go on the Malaga Twitter page, or I think even the Malaga website, there's a whole list there. I don't know, Chris, do you know where it is exactly? Because it says La Rosaleda, so I'm not sure if it's in like the car park.
I think there will be several points where you can hand your stuff in.
Yeah, so if you are going to La Rosaleda and you can bring anything along, that would be great. Or there's charities for these things as well if people like to donate. The charity I did the walk for was helping people in Morocco, Rifcom, and they've sent over quite a bit of money already. So if you are going, just keep an eye out for that. And if you can donate anything, that would be great. So moving on from that, let's go and talk about our win at Atletico Baleares this past Sunday afternoon. So 2-2 for Malaga, a lovely trip to the Balearic Islands, and I think we'll all agree a pretty good performance again. We'll talk about that in a second. As always, we'll start with the starting 11, very similar to the starting 11 that played the last home game against Atletico Madrid B. But it seems Einar Galilea is a bit worried about the chant I made up for him, so he personally dropped himself from the team to make sure that chant didn't get started, or it might have been that he had a slight knock. I'm not sure which one it was, but instead Juande came in for him, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, that was the only change, yes? Yes.
Yeah, that right.
Yeah.
So, I did the line, but I don't remember.
No, I don't think it was. Luke, any sort of qualms with that? Happy with that team?
To be honest, I was happy with the team. I do think, as previously watched at La Rosaleda, it was an attacking formation. I'm a big fan of Juande, so to see him back in the team, I was happy with that. Galilea did brilliantly the weekend before. In truth, I can't really say I've got any qualms with the team what he put out for this kind of fixture.
And Nick, do you think it was important to perhaps try to begin to put a sort of stable starting 11 in place?
Yeah, I think we said this last week, where we admit we don't want to chop and change. We want to ensure that we're carrying on with this exciting young team and filling them with confidence and things like that. So, Juande for Einar, it's a simple yet effective swap. It was nice to see him come back in and also perform well after what was a pretty nightmare 45 minutes in the opening fixture at Castellón.
I sort of joked at the start about it, but Einar, is it just a light knock? Because it came as a bit of a surprise that he didn't start. I'm assuming like he's not out.
He had some light muscle injury. I wouldn't say injury, but
wasn't he?
Some muscle pains.
Yeah, because I haven't seen like any news about it, so I assumed like it was something really light. Chris, all good with the starting 11? Anything that sort of jumped out at you before the game kicked off?
Pellicer being Pellicer, not wanting to try an attacking starting 11, but Pellicer being careful as always and defensively as we know him.
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't say it was a defensive starting 11. Two strikers, Larrubia, Kevin.
It's a 4-2, I would say.
Okay, maybe we can talk about that as we go through then. And
you were right. 3-3 maybe.
Yeah.
And then try and play Roberto from the side and not Dioni from the side. Who am I?
Yeah, it's but I suppose you're right to start with though, Chris. The sort of first 15 minutes of until they scored, Malaga did look a little bit lost out there, and Atletico Baleares seemed to be bullying them a bit.
Definitely. And if you ask me, Malaga won, but it wasn't a great match for me. It wasn't great football. It was a win, an important win, and you have to win those as well. You can't play good football every week. Mm-hmm. I've seen some increasement in the team, but I'm still far from happy. And if you ask me, I still don't see the team that will bring us back to Segunda.
Okay. Just to start with then, Nick, before perhaps we go into the bigger questions like that, I guess if we concede goals like we conceded in the first, I think it was the 12th minute, wasn't it, that we conceded, we're not going to do very well. A very easy opener for Atletico Baleares.
Yeah, I think it was definitely made simple through our own fault more than them. But I think they're going to really envisage every team doing that to us this season at some point, because Atletico Baleares were, I'm trying to think of the English maybe equivalent, kind of like Stoke City, something like that. Trying to maybe bully us out a little bit.
I tell you what,
going a bit rough and ready.
La Palma looks a lot nicer than Stoke, I'll tell you.
Yes, well, Chris was having a good look around in the background, to be fair. So, yeah, so it is a lot nicer than Stoke. But I think a lot of teams are going to do that to us this year, really knock us off our stride to begin with, kind of go for the jugular type football. But we deserve to go 1-0 behind just for the poor defending. Really, that's now 3 games in a row where we've conceded a goal first from very, very bad defending. So
yeah,
because the last game we didn't concede first, but yeah, you get the picture.
They'd sort of just hit the crossbar, hadn't they? And then they had that 1-on-1, which was, I think, Juande made a good tackle to send it out for the corner they scored from, and then Villa Palos jumped up. I think Gennaro was the one that lost him, 3-header. I think you mentioned on the live stream, actually, Luke, that you brought up the question, should we have people on the line to stop that? So I'm guessing you're a fan of people on the line. And is there anything else you'd like to comment on the goal?
I mean, you see bad defending from corners every now and again. It's a congested area. Gennaro, he'll know more than anybody. He should have stuck with his man. But unfortunately, these things happen. What would be nice to see from Malaga, if we switched it around, I'd like to see Malaga punish a team like Baleares punished us for one slack bit of defending. But I think it were your typical Malaga start away from home, a very slow start. It's as if we need to go 1-0 behind until we actually realise that we're in a game.
Yes, but that's the problem, Luke, because David Picon has put it on his Twitter feed, so I'll give him the credits. Malaga didn't win an away game, coming back with a comeback since the 4th of November 2021.
It's unbelievable.
I thought it was before then, even. I thought that was our last home comeback.
Oh, sorry, that's our last home win, coming back from a home win. Coming back from an away match wasn't the last time was 18th of August in 2018.
That's unbelievable, and I think that shows.
That's 5 years ago.
An obvious problem that Malaga's struggled with for many years now.
Which again, like you're saying about this Malaga team and PSA team, I suppose we've got to give them credit for making that comeback. And obviously, I think we talked
How
about
fair is it giving credit? If it would be in Segunda, maybe it would be credit worthy, but now it's a league lower. I mean, let's be honest.
Okay, fair enough. Fair point.
Well, there's always the old division. You can only play what's in front of you.
Yeah,
we're playing in that league at the minute. For me, you're going to get punished from good corners like that, whoever you're up against. You could be playing in La Liga, you could be playing in bloody Sunday League. If someone puts it into the box like that and you shake your defender, then, there's a good chance you're going to score. I think it's more indicative of the way the PSA team starts the game. They like to try and pass the ball around, feel it out a little bit more. But, like I said before, teams aren't going to allow you to do that in this league because they are excited to be starting the match. All the energy in this league seems to be in the first half. In the second half, everything seems to wane very, very quickly, especially towards the end, which is maybe where we're going to, really benefit from this season. So maybe the only improvement we could say is that we just don't be so lackadaisical in the opening knock-ins because we will probably get punished more often than not.
You've just made a perfect point there, Nick. Like we said during the live stream, I think Baleares had a lot of energy in the first 25 minutes. And then nothing came until maybe the 90th minute. So when we've said about rock and roll football, has Malaga got the fitness for 90 minutes? For me, it proved the big 60 minutes in between that Malaga has got the upper hand in terms of the fitness at the moment. Do these Primera teams have to adapt to our game as well?
You can see that in the difference between, maybe if we put the B teams to one side, but you look at the difference between Castellón and Atletico Baleares. Both very intense to begin with, but Castellón really drew it out a lot longer. And even they started to get leggy after about an hour, 70 minutes. But Baleares just seemed to get gone after, say, Luke, 25 minutes.
Yeah, and if you think Castellón, their goal just sort of came from, let's just lump it up pitch.
Yeah, exactly.
And we made a mistake, and You're having an effect on me, Luke, because I just went lump it up pitch. I suddenly got Northern then. But the reaction to the goal for me, there was sort of like 2 or 3 minutes where we still looked a bit shell shocked. But I think we kept saying on the live stream, we seemed to sort of just find our feet again quite quickly, and we sort of had 5 minutes where we stabilized, and then the last 25 minutes of that first half, we were excellent. Danny Lorenzo was getting on the ball more. I think we talked quite a lot about Victor Garcia and him getting forward from left back, and his free kicks and his crossing was great. Roberto had that good run through on goal that was saved 1-on-1. Let's talk about him. Let's talk about Roberto, because I know some of you have said that he's got a lot of stick on this podcast. As I keep saying, I've always liked Roberto. What did you make? No, I do. I don't know why we're laughing. I've always liked Roberto. I don't know where this.
All this need to go back to the back catalogue a couple of years ago.
Yeah. do I still have to say sorry to Roberto, or I've been nice for him the last few weeks?
Yeah. I said I didn't think he was that bad at Castellon as well, but I don't know about that. That was quite a boozy.
I didn't. I agreed with you there.
Yeah. So let's. I'll start with you then, Chris. And then we'll go to those that have slated him.
In the past, yes. In the past, before the season started.
No, I didn't say you. I said you're one of the nice guys. You're one of the nice Roberto fans.
But Chris did start the second podcast by saying that he was going to take the week off and drive him to Brescia. So let's not let him get away with anything right here.
And I think Alex wanted to beat him up.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I missed that bit.
No, but let's be honest. For that money, I would drive him there still, because it's a lot of money for a Primera FF player. We all agreed on that. But he's doing great.
What did you let's go? So obviously, he gets the goal about 5 minutes before half time. What did you make of Roberto's goal, Chris, and his sort of overall performance?
I think again he was the better one of the two strikers we have. A great goal, good header. I don't know. It was at the border of the box. I don't know if it was in the box or just out the box. If I remember right, it was in the box, right?
Yeah, it was like a sort of 6 yard sort of.
Yeah. But a header backwards, I believe.
Mm-hmm. At the twist.
Glancing header. Love a glancing header.
Like a Chicharito.
Yeah, beautiful goal as well. It's
I like
not a Roberto goal. Let's be honest. It's not the goals he makes.
No. I think I pointed out, I can't remember if it was on the podcast or on the live stream, that he did score at Ibiza when he was at Malaga last time. So he does like these Balearic Islands. Luke, what did you make of Roberto's goal / performance?
Yeah, I mean, I gave him a 7 on the ratings. I think his goal were absolutely fantastic. He took it really well. And maybe that's the striker's instinct, what we're hoping to see from him, because he clearly got a lot of potential. I mean, teams don't, like you guys have just said, we rejected a bid of 800,000 euros. That's a hell of a lot of money for a Primera team. They must know how much potential this boy's got. He's still raw. He's still young. I think he could, if he gets firing, he could get 15, 20 goal season. In terms of overall performance, I think we all agree we're not seeing the full attacking package of Malaga yet. So as a centre forward, he had an okay game. I don't think he had any more than an okay / good game.
Okay. So if I have a question for you, if he had an okay game, what did Dioni have?
Well, let's get to him.
Yeah.
We'll get to his goal in a second. We'll stick with Roberto for now, but that is a good question we'll get on to, Chris, because I think we do need to compare the both. Just quickly then, Nick, on Roberto, I don't know if you have anything to say in general. I don't know if you want to apologize.
Maybe.
I've always said he was quality. I've never slated him at all. And yeah, no, I think Luke's kind of hit the nail on the head, really. He's taken his chances, which is good to see. You can clearly see he's passionate about it as well. He seems to be getting a lot of pictures of his celebrations where he's really enjoying it. So if he's joined his football, he's scoring goals. We can't really make any complaints about him. His overall game needs to improve him, but he's a young lad still. At the end of the day, if he's scoring goals and taking his chances, then do what you need to do. And that leap into the crowd as well that got himself a booking. Love that. That is shit house.
I find those bookings ridiculous.
Yes.
It makes me angry.
Yes. I think it's fair enough if he'd hurdled the fence and was, well, even that doesn't bother me actually, but I can see the safety issue there. But sort of jumped into
the issue.
Man, hey, if Roberto jumped in the stand, I would be all over it. That would be amazing.
And if Kevin jumped into the stand, Matt,
well, let's leave that.
Isn't it even worth thinking about?
Kevin might not be back on the pitch.
I'm trying to think who it was in their. Who was it in the 1970 World Cup final? One of the strikers, and I can't think of his name now, but when Brazil won the World Cup, and the crowd swarmed the pitch, and he came out the other side basically clinging to his boxers, because that's all he had. He'd just been torn apart.
He'd be able to grab his socks, though, to be fair, because he's got those holes in the back of him. So I think I'd probably agree with what Luke said as well. I thought Roberto was particularly good first half, a bit quiet the second half, but still a really good performance. Shout out as well to Danny Lorenzo with the pass to set up Victor Garcia. Shout out to Victor Garcia for a lovely cross, which did mean Roberto just had to really, I think you used the word glance it. And, it went through the goalie's hands, didn't it, basically? But it was so fast that the goalie didn't stand a chance.
You still have to glance it. You still have to touch it.
Yeah. Of course, yeah, absolutely. It was perfect. I'm just saying it was a great goal all around and deserved. It was at the time when we were pushing. Like I said, Roberto had just sort of missed a sort of one-on-one. It was a good save from the keeper, though, who had a pretty good game all around. But yeah, like we come out second half. I think we started the more confident again. We were talking about Dioni and saying, where is the other striker, as Chris has already alluded to. But it seems that Popeye has spinach, but Dioni has bocadillo de lomo and manteca.
I saw that.
I don't know if you saw this story that, for those that don't know, essentially lomo and manteca is pork and cheese, not cheese, butter, isn't it? I don't know. That's a side question. Does anyone have a favorite bocadillo? I should probably ask Chris since you live here, because I'm an atún con tomate man.
What? Aceite con tomate?
Yeah. No, atún con tomate.
Atún con tomate.
Yeah. And if I'm feeling a bit of avocado.
I really have a thing, so I will admit it now. I am a pitufo mixto guy. My favorite thing in the world is ham and cheese.
Yeah.
Combined.
So Petifo is a little bit smaller than a bocadillo, isn't it? For those that don't know, I'll ask the other two guys, because I'm guessing Chris will know. It's Luke or Nick. Do you know what a Petifo actually translates as?
Is it like a toast dish?
No, it's the word for a Smurf.
Very
what a
Spanish.
But on the other hand, if it's breakfast, I will order a pitufo. If it's lunch, I will order mollete.
Yeah, I have mollete. That's my favorite. Anyway, that's my favorite bread for lunch. It's a bit thicker, isn't it?
A bit thicker, round.
Yeah, that's what I had before watching the Malaga game on Sunday. So maybe I should stick to that tradition.
Yeah. What did you add on it?
Atún con tomate y aguacate.
It feels more like a rincon cultural.
Yeah, it is getting a bit like it. Anyway, Dioni eats bocadillos. He says he scores, and he said he did have one, I don't know, before the game or the night before, because it seems quite heavy, butter and pork before the game. So let's talk about Dioni and his performance and his goal. Luke, what did you make of his performance and his goal?
I know he said that he tends to play well if he has a bocadillo before. I'm not sure. He may have only eaten half of his bocadillo this time. Again, he scored a goal as a centre forward / right winger, I guess, at the moment. You've got to be happy that he scored. However, his overall performance, I'm still not sure Dioni we've got at the moment. We're either not playing to his strengths or he's gradually making his way in. But for a striker to get his first goal, it could be huge.
Yeah, definitely. And as we said, on his old stomping ground as well. Nick, do you have any idea what Dioni we've got yet?
I think, again, Luke's just said there, we're not playing to his strengths. I know he says he can be a right winger, but I don't think he truly is. And you can see that when the ball drops him in the box, he's got an eye for goal. That goal there is going to paper up over a lot of cracks, in my opinion. He had a poor game overall, but it's because he's been asked to do a job which he's not familiar with. And again,
I can be a train if I want.
Say again?
I can be a train.
If you really want to be, but that's it. You want that in the positions there, and we're going to praise, and we have been praising Victor Garcia a lot for some of the crosses he's been putting in, and obviously Roberto was meeting some of them. But think about how successful Dioni could be if he was getting on the end of those crosses. A bit more of a powerful presence, a bit more of an experienced target man. So I don't think we've seen the best of him, but it is nice to see him score because it's the Giri cast curse, I think. We keep slagging off strikers and they keep scoring goals. So Kevin's really crap, isn't he?
Yes. Well, we'll come on to him. I don't think we can fix Loren though. That just doesn't seem to be going anywhere because I think he is actually crap. Bit funny as well that he sort of got subbed not long after scoring, didn't he? Which I probably would have gone along with, but maybe would have given him a little bit more time after scoring, but I don't know if he was just a bit tired in the heat. I don't know. Although he did play in this stadium for 2 seasons, wasn't it? So, Chris, so you said, I think Luke gave Roberto a 7. Well, actually, just quick.
Roberto an 8.
Okay. Luke, what did you give Dioni in your ratings?
I was trying to think. I think I gave him a 7 purely based on the goal.
Okay. Chris, what would you give Dioni then?
Listen, if I would perform only 5 minutes of my day of work, my boss wouldn't give me a 7.
But I'll give him 4 goals.
I'll give him a 4.
But what if you changed the outcome of your company's day that day? That's not a very good analogy.
It's 11 players on the pitch, whatever striker says. We did it as a team. I was the one making the goal, but it could also have been one of my other teammates.
Okay. I feel like Dioni might be a topic we talk about for a few podcasts still.
But then as well, so I agree that we don't play him the way we should play him. So can you blame him?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Surely PSA must recognize this too. If we can, it's really, really because I don't even think we were exaggerating, were we? In when we did the live stream at halftime, we were literally saying, "Where is?"
No,
but the thing is,
he was completely invisible. But you say there, Chris, or Matt, about PSA. We were saying a lot about this about Ruben Castro last season, and when PSA came in, things did change, but he still never truly played to Ruben Castro's strengths or Francois. We had Chavarria out playing on the right. This seems to be a thing. We seem to have this target man out on the right wing. So it's not something new. And to be fair to Chavarria, he kind of had a bit of a renaissance in that system. But for Dioni, I just don't think it's the same fit. Chavarria seems to be playing for something, whereas I think Dioni, we truly do need to play to his strengths, and because he's the top goal scorer in this league.
Yeah.
The question with managers is, a manager sees everything, but are they capable of recognizing their mistake and change it? Because a lot of managers hold on to their beliefs and their thoughts and are not willing to change because they don't think they're wrong, simply, or they.
Yeah, does Pace have a bit of the Southgate about him? Is that what we're saying?
He likes his regular.
Yeah,
Maybe.
he'll pick people who shouldn't really be there just because he likes them, or
No, it's not that.
he's good at cultivating a good culture and a nice environment. But is he actually a tactical mastermind who can change a game?
Is he great enough to admit his mistakes and to change it, and to maybe be a man enough to want to recognize his mistakes?
Quite possibly. Anyway, just to move on with the sort of last part of this game, second half performance in general, I'll ask you sort of about. I will say, by the way, we've talked about the mayor of Malaga. I have a different mayor in Marbella, De La Torre. He wasn't impressed with the team's performance and said we played horizontally and sometimes even backwards, which I disagreed with, but I could sort of see some horizontalness there. Nick, how do you think we played in the second half in general? And actually, do you think we should have had some more goals? Because their goalie made 2 good saves, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say their goalkeeper was going to get an honourable mention from me for his performance, because in that second half, he really kept them in it. I think it was one of those, as we said before, Baleares really got tired and leggy. They weren't up to too much. The substitutions they made as well, they brought on that absolute behemoth.
Nana.
They brought on Nana
Nana
as well.
was a big mistake.
Yeah, they brought on Grand Jorge. But they didn't really have anything that could impact us too much. We took everything that we could take from them, and I think if we'd been a bit more clinical, then we could have won a lot more than 2-1.
Would you agree with that, Luke?
Yeah, I'd summed the second half performance up as just as comfortable. Wasn't anything too special, wasn't anything too negative. But I totally agree with Nick. I thought their keeper were fantastic. On another day, we could have scored 3 or 4 potentially.
The words, I wrote 3 words down in my notes here, which is pretty much what you said, but I put controlled, remarkably unfazed. Because I think in the past we sort of do panic a bit, and it was only really that one chance where Herrero did a star jump to stop them, Gran Jorge, as you called him, scoring, which I think was about 20 minutes from the end. But otherwise, it was just fine, wasn't it? There was no moment of real jeopardy. Chris, any final comments on the performance before we do Jumbo and Biznaga?
I think the manager of Atletico Baleares did make a mistake with bringing on, as I said, Nana. That's a bit where everything changed to me. Why are you laughing? It's his name, Nana.
It's his name. It's just a funny name, isn't it? It's actually, I was going to say for an English-speaking audience, but Nana's sort of, I guess, a bit more bit more global, isn't it? Yeah. Don't mess with Nana.
But that's where I think it went wrong for them. And the great keeper, what Nick and what you all said, the great keeper of Atletico Baleares.
Yeah. So great that none of us have bothered to write his name down, including myself, because I was going to do that. But shout out to that goalkeeper. Okay, then let's go into Jumbo's first, and actually, I'm gonna go first here, just in case anyone thinks I get swayed, and just to be a bit different, I'm gonna give it to Kevin. I didn't think he was very good. I think it was I think he got worse as the game went on. He went missing. I think I'll go against what Chris said last week. I think he was in the right place quite a lot in this game, but he did sort of keep passing it backwards a bit too much.
So you also agree a bit with the Malaga mayor.
I suppose he was one of the ones committing that. Yeah, I'll go with that. But yeah, he started okay. I thought wasn't really doing much, and then he just kept giving the ball away. And the final thing, he pulled his socks up and didn't show his calves. So that was the final nail in the coffin for me. I think he took a few two clatterings, which got us a free kick, but that's all the positive sort of play I can remember. So and I'll go to Luke next because I saw his rating, so I'm guessing he's going to give it to the same person.
Yeah, definitely. I think he just struggled to get into the game. And like you've just rightly said, Matt, clearly with him pulling his socks up, something wasn't right with Kevin. But as you alluded to there, he got kicked a few times, maybe. But I was actually thinking about this earlier. Kevin's game seems to be like a very, very budget Jack Grealish. A few people are slating for keeping hold of the ball too much. But Grealish is very much like that. Draws the foul in.
Remember,
like I say, we have got a very, very budget Jack Grealish.
Well, this goes back to that very, very first article I wrote about him, which I'm guessing Chris is trying to mention here.
And this goes back to our first, to the first episode of Vamos a la Rosaleda.
Where my words were, he's a bit like Jack Grealish.
Really?
The first time I ever saw him play, because I compared it to when I saw Jack Grealish when he was 18.
And that was the first match after the Corona pandemic.
Yeah, so I was very excitable about everything. Anyone could have been good that day, and I would have thought they were.
That's actually the day you fell in love with Kevin.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There was the famous. I wrote an article about it
Against Mirandes.
It was against Mirandes. Yeah, happy times. Where, he was amazing. He definitely had Biznaga. I think everyone gave him Biznaga that game.
Yeah.
It was incredible. Anyway, go ahead, Chris. You tell me your jumbo.
It has to be Kevin.
Yep.
You can pay Jack every day of the week, but if you're the cheap AliExpress version, it's not working for me.
Okay. I'm not enjoying this, but let's carry on. Nick.
It's a clean sweep for Kevin. Unfortunately, he I think Chris said it last week. He kind of needs to get his head into the role he needs to do, and that is he needs to be able to cut inside and run at people like Jack Grealish would do. I think Jack Grealish, if he listens back to this and watches the game, might be very offended by this comparison. But it's testament to the fact that I feel that Victor Garcia did the job of two people in that game, and that was telling on Kevin more than it was on what Garcia did, if I'm honest with you.
Which I think I said about the home game. I think for the first 15 minutes of the last home game, Victor Garcia was doing the same thing. And I think Kevin actually got better in that game and found his way into it. Whereas this one, it went backwards. Anyway, let's stop.
The thing is, one last thing about Kevin.
How can we not?
The match, this is typically was a Kevin match of two seasons ago.
To be fair, and I kind of agree with you on that, because this should be the kind of game, this should be the kind of opposition that Kevin should look forward to playing. And not that I want him to be cocky or have any arrogance about him, but if he is the talent that we think he is, then he should be owning it a bit more. He should have seen Nana coming on there maybe and said, "Tell you what, Dioni, swap sides with me and let me have a run at Nana." And put him on his arse a few times, but I just don't think it's built that way. He appears to have gone in on himself a little bit this week, which is a shame. So hopefully,
and let's be honest, if he doesn't prove it this season, Kevin is done.
Quite possibly, yeah.
Totally.
Kevin Madonna.
I'll just go and I'll go and watch him play for Marbella instead.
Yeah, are you still going to get him on your shirt?
Yeah, absolutely. That's happening this Saturday. Of course I am. I've waited 3 years for this. The only reason I didn't get him the first time was because I said I can't have number 37 on my back. It's just weird. But I wish I did. Anyway.
It's strange because that's the fun thing of the small interview you did with Sport Direct.
Oh, God.
That nobody understood why Kevin. Nobody understands it.
Yeah, and I was too drunk to explain. Yeah.
Because Kevin, he's your number one. You explained it very well.
Yeah. Anyway, well, it was pretty simple, wasn't it? I was only saying hello to him. Yes. I was hey, and then I was sort of.
That's the thing he does.
Yeah. So this time I know to go around him. Because I was just being nice and pleasant.
You know how I always end up when I see them, with a microphone in my hand, interviewing other people.
All right. Okay.
Well, I'm going around them as well now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, let's leave Kevin alone for a bit now. Biznaga. Luke, I'll go to you first.
I know we've just had a full house on the Chumbo, and I've got a slight feeling we might have a Biznaga. For me, Victor Garcia he added so much to our game with that attacking from left back. I think it's the kind of a very good replacement for Christian from last year. in terms of an attacking left back. We've all just slated Kevin, and rightly so, but we all agreed everything came from the left side. And as one of you guys said, he was potentially doing the job of two men. But an honourable mention as well for Juan Day. It was good to see him back in team, and I thought he had a very good game, and I think he's one of our leaders, and I want to see a Juan Day who's playing very well.
Absolutely. Just to carry on that clean sweep, I'll just quickly say mine's Victor Garcia as well. For the reasons Luke's just said, my honourable mention would probably be for Roberto, and probably Danny Lorenzo I thought was pretty good as well, but Victor Garcia was the standout for me too. So, Nick.
Honourable mentions for Danny Lorenzo. He just looked full of passion. Again, everything coming through him from the midfield. He's such a tidy midfielder. He's going to have, I think we said after the first game, he's going to have a very good season this year. But clean sweep again for me. Victor Garcia, just unplayable. Some of the work he did, the assist for Roberto's goal, that cross where you are swinging it in early and hitting that white space. That's where Dioni should be. And if Pacey can get that right with Victor Garcia and Dioni, we'll score goals for fun. But yeah, he is a brilliant left back. It's 2 games in a row now that I've been impressed by him.
Yeah, and then Chris, are you going to make this a sweep that is clean?
No.
Oh, of course he isn't.
No.
Of course he isn't. Go on.
I have a question.
Okay.
How
I
many?
don't have a question, but go on.
I have 2 questions. How many goals has Roberto scored this season?
Dos.
How many did Ruben Castro score last season?
12 or something like that.
Yeah. So we can say, on how much percent is he of Ruben Castro's 12 goals?
He scored 1/6 of the goals. I can't be bothered to work out there. Was that 17% or something like that?
Yes.
Okay.
In 3 matches already.
Okay.
So
now you're going to something different, aren't you? You're going to say Danny Lorenzo.
I know where he's going here.
I have to pick Roberto.
Okay.
There's no choice.
Sorry to take a hit at Ruben Castro.
Just because the 3 of you picked Victor, someone has to choose Roberto as well.
Okay. I did give him an honourable mention, to be fair.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. I'm happy with Roberto. Hopefully, I'm a bit worried here that if we are being a bit nice about him, that he'll slack off. But we'll take that risk. He looks like he enjoys scoring goals. And
if you now let me know, you know what will happen next week, right?
Kevin at Trick.
I will finish him in 5 minutes here on the podcast.
Fair enough. Okay. But yes, he is enjoying his goal scoring, and hopefully he can continue goal scoring in our game this coming Saturday night at La Rosaleda against Recreativo Granada. Okay, so before we talk about a little bit about this game, I think we should mention again the fans at the stadium. It was announced today that there's now 17,000 season ticket holders. I think I saw you tweet off the Geary Cast account. That's 600 more than last year. Am I right in saying?
500.
500 more still.
That's the numbers I got from Sport Direct Radio. I asked Malaga Club de Football, and they will send me the official numbers of last season tomorrow.
Amazing! I believe we're the most in our Grupo Dos. I think Depot have got quite a bit more in their group.
27,000.
Yeah, 27,000.
They announced yesterday.
Yes, but they're a long way from us, so let's not think about them. We've got the most in our league. there's not really much to say, isn't there? But sort of it remains very impressive, and for a team.
Because that's the difference as well. You have to look at. We are a club that just relegated from Segunda to Primera RFF. So our heads, our feelings are still way down than Deportivo La Coruña, who is their third season, I believe, in this league.
Yeah, still impressive, I guess, though, isn't it? You'd think they'd go, all right, we're not going back up. I'm bored. I'm going to go support Racing Ferrol. I don't know. But yeah, it's still very impressive. So let's sort of talk about the game. I don't know, is just quickly, Chris, is there anything planned before the game, apart from obviously the collection I mentioned? I've not seen any Fondo Sioux stuff yet. Or
let me have a look.
Okay, while you're looking, I'll sort of talk. Actually, there was you all wore white shirts last time. It was very impressive with the usual sort of parade down to the stadium and flares and bouncing along and singing about how we love you because we've even seen you in Segunda B and all that stuff. Just quickly, the other sad moment of the last match day, which I don't think we've mentioned much on this podcast, Barcelona Madrid remains closed, which was still sad. So we met at the fake Barcelona Madrid, which I always forget the name of. What's it called, Chris? Tito
Blas? Tito. Yeah. Tito someone. I have something.
Okay.
After the great how do you call it? Great show up and turnout of the first match. We are now all wearing, or we have to wear a Blanquiazul, a blue and white Malaga shirt.
Nice. So you can just wear the shirt.
Yeah.
Everybody has to bring his scarf.
Who came up with that idea?
Yes. So I look forward to seeing that again, and I'm looking forward to seeing your to getting your reaction from your time on the Giri bus as well, because I imagine I will do a Vamos a La Rosaleda as per usual. So going into the game, again, I think we've talked about in this podcast already. Please do not expect too much insight to our opponents, especially when they're B teams. We did get a little bit this time, though. It's just a quick summary. They lost to Real Murcia in their first game, and they've drawn away at Linares and home draw with Algeciras. So 2 draws, no wins yet. I'll say our friend Aiden, aka Jesse Efe Escocia. I'm sure some of you follow him on Twitter. He goes everywhere with Granada. Amazing supporter of them. We asked him who is the player to watch out for, and he mentioned Mario Gonzalez. He's the player that a few of the Granada fans have already picked up on and said has looked really good at the start of the season. So I guess he's the one to watch. Should mention as well from a Malaga perspective, they do have Julio Martinez, who I think is sort of starting and around the first team for them. Chris, do you remember Julio Martinez? Should he have stayed at Malaga? Do you mourn him?
Not really, to be honest. He wasn't great when he was with Malaga, but that's what tends to happen. Look at other players who leave Malaga.
I see. I see. Yeah, well, he's done pretty good.
Horta.
Yeah, he's not quite had that success, but I seem to recall when he got in the first team, because I'd seen him play a couple of times for Atletico Malagueño, and I'd seen him score a couple of really nice goals. Actually, looked a really good finisher. I was very much, I want him to play, and you were perhaps the more sensible one, which I didn't think I'd say, and was the one saying no, he probably shouldn't, and I think you might.
What was the? Oh yeah, and Nesri, who went to Seville.
Yes, he's done
also was not really good in at Malaga. We have more. There was one who went to West Ham. What's his name? Pablo Fornals.
Pablo Fornals, yeah, who's having a pretty lovely time there. Are we just naming old Malaga players? Is that how we're going to fill this section?
No, we're naming Malaga talents who went out and had a pretty good career after leaving Malaga.
Wasn't did win a Champions League, but didn't exactly blow the Premier League away.
What about that lad who went to Real Madrid? He's now better.
Brahim Diaz. Brahim.
Well, that's the other one, but I was meaning Isco. But
No, but Brahim is different. But because Brahim was brilliant, but he left Malaga when he was 12.
Yeah.
Because English club pay a lot of money for a 12-year-old, and so do the big clubs in Spain. So,
what about Sergi Dada?
Yeah, he was pretty okay. I wouldn't say he had a big career.
No.
He's have like fans of opposite clubs come into this segment and things like now we're just naming Malaga players that have gone on and done other things.
Yeah. But on the other side, you also have Ontiveros and you have to Jack Harper. So
yes, Jack Harper as well. What a player!
Yeah.
Yes. Now a name down here in Marbella.
I'm surprised he's not on your sofa. I'm sure Alex might have been texting you, sort of trying to organise it.
Actually, I do wonder where he lives. He must be. I don't know. I suppose he's lived down here before. Maybe
he'll have a mansion on those Getafe wages.
And Alex will know where he is.
He should be pretty. He should be pretty miffed that he's been replaced by Mason Greenwood as
he's
well.
He's following Alex now, right?
Yes, I think he said
he's following Alex. Alex was all excited about it.
Yeah. Well,
the kid, he's going to one of the best journalist academies at the biggest clubs in the world, where probably 50 million people in the world are jealous of Alex Ashmore, and he's more happy that Jack Harper is following him than him going to the Real Madrid Academy, or what they call it.
I'm just going to check how many people on the podcast are followed by Kevin Medina.
Are you being followed by Kevin Medina? Of
course I am.
Well, I have a story the day you went to see him. That's a different one. When I messaged him, when I sent him WhatsApp saying, hello, our man of the podcast, Matt Harrison, is traveling to see Vicente play just for you. And I'm still waiting for an answer.
I think you might have scared him off. Actually, he did follow me after I wrote that second article about him. And I was going to write the end of the trilogy in the next few weeks, but the website's being closed down, sadly. So, anyway.
And it does make a change as well from you following him around. So,
what website was it, Matt?
Refreshing.
Pardon?
What website?
I'm gonna not say because I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say. You can, just in case I had an email about it. But so
I know which one you mean, but
I think I know. I know.
So I'm having a guess, but I hope it's not that one.
Well, it is that one. So we've talked about websites closing down, Twitter followers, and
former Malaga players
that have left Malaga and done quite good. Let's try and do something about Granada B, or Recreativo Granada, which is a much more fun name than calling them Granada B. Nick, Granada B, is it good that our first two home games have been against two B teams, or would you rather a gritty one or a grittier game?
I think it's good and bad. I think, like I say, we know what opinions on B teams are like. This one is a completely different kettle of fish to some of the B teams we've come up against as well. This feels like a proper, academy kids team. Just looking at the average ages of the players, who they are, where they're from. I think the average value of the squad is less than €3 million.
I will say, Nick, just to quote a famous rapper, because now we move on to play another B team, Granada's player who ain't the club's cream of cream. A famous rapper once said.
That famous rapper is not far from being wrong, but this isn't like playing against the Villarreal team of last year, or the Real Sociedad team from a couple of seasons ago. This does feel like they're playing kids. What I mean? We're going up against kids, and if we get beat by kids, I'm going to be very, very angry.
Aidan did say as well, he did add sort of on the end of his message he sent me, that he does think there could be some Granada fans there, which will be quite interesting if there is, because obviously we've got a bit of a friendship with Granada as well. But fair play to any Granada fans that travel to watch their B team, even if it isn't the longest journey. It's still still an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah.
Have you seen how many seats their stadium has that this team play at? So again, there's not the rule that you have in La Liga where they have to play the same number of games in the main stadium. So they play their games in a 500-seater stadium.
I think
it's
training,
wrong,
isn't it?
It's wrong.
I think again, sorry, I'm just remembering all the different things Aidan added onto his message. I think he did say as well that they are going to try and play as many games as possible at what's it called, Las Caramenas. So that would be good. And I can imagine if when Malaga go to play these guys away, it will be there. I'm almost certain because there'll be demand for it.
You'd hope so. And I suppose, like say, Atletico Malagueño are the same. They don't play at La Rosaleda, so it's not unknown, but it still just shows the chasm really between these two sides. And again is an indication of, in reality, why they shouldn't be playing each other. I don't care if it's for development purposes at all, but the gap is huge. It is massive.
Yeah. I don't know, Luke. Do you have any strong feelings on playing two B teams in a row, or meh?
Not really. There's always an element of unknown when we come across these B teams. But I think what we are going to see from potentially every team in the league when they come to La Rosaleda, they're not going to be coming attacking at Malaga. This is a big stadium with a lot of vocal fans in there. I think a lot of teams are going to come try and stay tight and take a point away. But yeah, end of the day, we've got to play every team in that league.
Do we have to? Do we have to play this? Can we not have a week off and just let us have it? It's so crap. Like you say, it's just like you say. We tried to do research on it, and you play a team like Atletico Baleares last week, and we had so much to talk about. Look insightful. There's stories. There's fans. This is just pathetic. Like I say, less than 3 million. Less than 3 million squad value. There are teams in non-league which have a more expensive roster.
We cannot talk about that, Nick.
Yeah.
Well, the non-league.
Malaga being non-league or not non-league.
No, not this non-league. I mean, probably the non-league that Luke.
Okay, because else I will have to call my lawyer again.
Just to sort of start wrapping things up then, Chris, is there anyone, I don't know, would you like to see the same starting 11? Is there anyone that should come back in? Does Einar come back in for Juande? Or
I hope Einar will come back in. I'm going to ask the club tomorrow about the status of Haitham and Ramon. But I would love to see those two players coming onto the pitch.
Yeah, I still get the impression that isn't going to happen yet. That's just that's just a
I
feeling.
have the same impression, but I just want to know what the status is.
Yeah, fair enough. What about you, Luke? Is there anyone you'd like to see come in, or very much?
Well, it's just touching back to what we were talking about yesterday with a potential of Dioni more as a centre forward. And one thing I half came up with were maybe like a 4-4-2 with a diamond in midfield, which would potentially bring Sangale in for Kevin and play David Larrubia as the number 10, what we want to see him, just behind the strikers.
That's it's
not going to happen. I see Matt Face saying no.
I did think on the live stream, I did say I quite like the idea of dropping one of Dioni and Roberto and putting Larrubia behind one of them, and Jorge Fernandez, and I think which actually we didn't mention. I think that's sort of how we finished the game against Atletico Baleares. I'd like to see that, but I'm more than happy to keep with the same starting 11. To be honest,
I'd happily see that team.
I know for Juande doesn't bother me really.
Yeah.
I think they've done fine. I think
the problem is when you take off Kevin from it.
Yes, that's why I sort of was shaking my head.
So as we are wrapping up, and we are now also a wrapping podcast and a football podcast.
I made that joke last week, Chris. I wasn't going to do it again.
No?
Come on.
I have a little quiz.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Right, okay.
Who is able to name 5 Dutch footballers who became rappers?
I can name 2 straight away.
Memphis Depay.
3. Okay, so Memphis Depay was one of mine. Royston
Ryan
Drenthe.
Babel.
Royston Drenthe.
Leroy Fair?
No.
Well, Royston Drenthe and Memphis Depay. I don't know about Ryan Babel.
One played for Malaga.
No, is it? No.
Rui Van Nistelrooy.
No.
I would say that Owusu Ubei. I think he would go.
Oh, Leroy Fair is in it. Yeah, Leroy Fair is
is
in
he?
the list. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. When he was at Swansea.
Yeah.
At Malaga. What do you call it? Musampa.
No.
Oh.
Musampa is really into horse riding now in Torremolinos.
Oh,
really, I'm not joking.
It's okay. Is that going to be
So
next
random.
week?
So random.
Yeah, but that's what he told me.
Okay. So who we got? Leroy Fair, Royston Drenthe, and Memphis Depay. So we got 2 missing, you think?
Was Ryan Babel one of them?
Ryan Babel is one of them.
All right, sorry. I didn't. I thought that was a no, you said. I missed that.
So just
Okay.
the one more to go. Is it the Quit?
No.
I'm just trying to think of funny people I'd like to see rap now.
Yeah. Khaled Boularus?
No.
Yap Stam.
Edgar Davids?
Go on, Chris. We're just
What
doing.
position were we, Chris?
I will go with you through the list. I will name them all. Some might surprise you. There is Leroy Fair, Memphis Depay, Royston Drenthe, of course. I have Mitchell Bergzorg. I don't know him. You guys don't know him. Vernon Anita, Justin Kluivert.
Okay.
The son.
He's still playing football.
Is it
Yes.
Bournemouth?
Yes.
Yeah.
And here comes the Malaga one. Quincy Owusu de Abeyi.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's what I got.
Noah Lang. Also
He's,
still playing football.
Oh, he's just signed someone in Holland, hasn't he?
Noah Lang is playing for Club Brugge. That's Belgium. But
That is.
you can make those mistakes because I also called someone English.
I've got a Club Brugge card still from my time there. They were very close to becoming my adopted team.
This one is not only still a footballer,
Okay.
became a rapper, but most of all, he became very notorious and a very gangster.
Notorious B.I.G.
No, he's like the rapper living the rap life.
Okay.
It's
Very
Quincy
good.
Gomez.
Oh, well, he's not living the rap life from where he is right now, is he?
Who? Who are it?
Quincy
Quincy
Promes.
Gomez. Who
Ah,
stepped
Yeah,
Is he
yeah.
not in jail?
I've actually,
Yeah, he's
No,
not.
he's escaping Holland because
I've
there's a
seen-
war.
I've seen him score live for Holland against Slovakia.
He's now being
He's now in a naughty boy. He's a naughty boy. That's what he's,
sued for, or they suspect him from drugs dealing,
Stabbing his
Yeah.
brother.
stepping his nephew.
Nephew.
And there's one who you forgot because this one brought rap glamour to Southampton. It's El Giro Elia.
oh yeah, of course, yeah, I liked him.
Yeah.
And there is
As-
Ruben Schaken, Vince Gino Dekker. I don't know who he is, and that was it.
Yeah, that's quite a lot actually.
I was going to
Yeah.
say, yeah, it seems to be quite the career path for Dutch footballers.
And a lot of them
I'm-
still play football.
I'm already planning a Platini played for Kuwait episode here, Dutch football / rappers.
Yeah.
I think a good one for that is what is the maddest post-career a footballer has had. And if you don't mention Thomas Gravison on there, then I'll be very
Yes.
upset.
Yes, that is good.
Or,
yeah, I'm trying to
or
think.
Matthew Flamini.
I was reading earlier. Can you remember Kieran Richardson?
Of course, yeah.
No, I know Chris Kirkland, but
He's not. Who?
I don't know.
Who's that?
Oh,
Kieran
it's a
Richardson.
former Liverpool goalkeeper.
Oh, it is. Kieran
I'll send
Richardson's
you the Wikipedia page later.
a multi-millionaire from a watch company these days.
Oh,
Yeah.
right, okay. Nice one.
And there is the guys, the Dutch guys. There's the Dutch guys, Demi de Zeeuw, Elgeroy Elia, and another one. Matt already knows what I'm going to say. Who started the brand Baller.
Oh, yes. I didn't know you were going to say that.
I'll pretend to know what that is, but
I've heard of it.
Nobody knows the brand Baller?
I've heard of it.
ALR? Oh, well, you guys are too old. You're all 2015.
Okay.
How did we get here?
Yeah. I'm trying to find my gap here to make some little Malaga to close things up. But
hopefully there'll be ballers on the pitch on Saturday.
Yes,
that's what I was going to go for, something like that. But I was trying to think of something about rappers. That was my backup. But yes, hopefully there'll be ballers on the pitch on Saturday. Yes, right. We will wrap things up there. That's not a pun. I did not mean that, by the way. I will say thank you to Nick Bell.
Do you know which former players became mine? No. Thank you very much for having me and for all the tangents we've had this evening.
I must have been getting frustrated. I've snapped the pen in half. I didn't even do that.
just angrily. We've lost control.
Yes. Thank you, Luke Chambers.
Pleasure as always, guys. Let's move on to Saturday and let's get that 3 points. Vamos, Malaga.
Lovely stuff. And if you want to hear more from those guys, check out the live stream on Saturday, whereas I will be joined by Chris Marquez at La Rosaleda. But thank you for joining us this evening. And thank you for the quiz at the end, Chris. Okay. No problem. Thank you, Matt. Okay, thank you, Chris. Right, you've been listening to the Geary Cast on Sport Direct Radio. I've been Matt Harrison. We've been talking about Malaga a bit. Vamos, Malaga, adios.